Hi, it's Therese from Lostinpaper and I'm back to colour with you. And today I have this awesome stamp set. It's a really fun one out of a series called Leading Ladies. And it's in the Essentials by Ellen collection from Ellen Hudson. And this one's called Cozy Lady. And it has some really fun sentiments and lots of fab little bits and pieces that you can make this your own. I have stamped her out in my Misty, and you might have noticed that I did have the cardstock hanging over the edge because I wanted this to be where I wanted her on my card. I needed her to be sitting a bit lower on the cardstock, and that's one of the great things about the Misty is you can actually have your cardstock hanging over the edge and still be able to stamp. It doesn't actually dent your cardstock when you lean on it with the top of the paper. It's a great tool. Alright, so I'm going to be doing some Copic colouring and then adding some shading and details with some Prismacolor pencils today, and these two mediums work really well together, especially if you don't have a lot of Copics. This is a really great way to get more out of your markers and out of your pencils. So I'm starting with the Copic colouring, and I usually like to use my Copics on the face of an image. I just like the colours, the combination of the E's and the R20. They're my sort of go-to face colours. And then what I'm doing is just adding some sort of basic colours to the rest of my image. So the hair, you know, it's not perfect, but it's got a good sort of base. I know where my shading and everything's going to be. Well, these images kind of tell you a little bit where the shading's going to be. And this is where the fun bit comes in. I've chosen colours that are very similar to the Copic colours that I've used. And I just test them off on a piece of cardstock to the side. Pencils are fairly forgiving. You can actually look at the colour of the pencil and they are fairly true, a lot more so than the markers are. But I still do like to test them and make sure that I'm not going to ruin my image that I've done all this work on so far. So what I'm doing here is colouring like I normally would with pencils. For the hair, I'm following the hairline, but look how much detail this adds. It does make such a difference to this image. It really brings her to life. So I do have a full list of the supplies that I use over at my blog, and the link is in the YouTube description below or in the show more section below, including all the names of the Prismacolor pencils that I use, because I can't obviously put the lids off to the side so that you can see which colours that I'm using. With the clothing here, I do use similar colour pencils again like I did on the hair, but this time to add some shading I come in with like a grey pencil, and that's just another way to stretch your supplies a bit more. You don't actually have to have every colour. You can use a neutral to add some shading and some shadowing and depth. And I wasn't sure how much of the image that I needed, so you will find that I do come back a little bit later and actually finish colouring the bottom of that shirt, but I don't show that today on camera. And I used some Onyx Black ink to restamp over my image. The cardstock here, if you notice, I've actually pushed it up into the top left corner this time so that I know that the image is going to be stamped in exactly the same spot. Right, so I want to do some partial die cutting today. So I'm using the coordinating die, and I do need to hold this in place with some low tack tape. Even though I have a magnetic plate in my Big Shot, I just find it's more reliable to use the tape as well, and I don't want to have to start again. Right, so I'm using my normal sandwich for a thin die. The only thing I'm doing different is actually lining up the edge of the top plate where I want it to cut to. So everything that gets rolled through with the plate will cut, but beneath that it won't cut. So what it's going to do is actually leave her in place within this piece of cardstock. Yay! I love this technique. Then I want to actually cut a window around her, and because I've got this, this is a Fiskars trimmer and it has a guide wire, so I'm just using the guide wire to actually cut the window out from within my piece of cardstock. But you could just as easily do this with a craft knife and, you know, draw it with a pencil and then cut it out with a craft knife. And I have eyeballed it. I didn't bother measuring it. But you could, if you're a perfectionist, you could easily measure it and then you know you've got it perfect. Right, so now I'm going to assemble my card. I have added some fun foam to the back of the panel. I've got a piece of design paper. This is from MFT. It's from the Dots and Stripes neutral paper pad, and then I'm going to adhere my little panel on the top of my front of my top fold card using my ATG. I did colour up a little mug. There's so many little additives in this set that you could mix and match with this cozy lady, and I thought a cup, I'm a tea lover, so I have lots of cups of tea and I love sharing them with my friends, so I thought that a cup of tea would be nice. I heat embossed one of the sentiments from the set in some white embossing powder on some black cardstock and just popped that up to the side. I kept it very simple. Added some black Nuvo dots and we're done. Thanks for joining me today. I've had heaps of fun. Till next time, happy paper crafting. Bye.